The strange night in the woods. The night was colder than usual. The wind moved through the tall trees, making soft sounds like whispers. The man walked slowly through the woods, his old flashlight in one hand, and his loyal dog beside him. The dog's ears were sharp and alert, tail stiff, nose sniffing the air again and again. Something was different tonight. The forest felt alive, as if it was hiding a secret. The man stopped when he heard it for the first time. A voice. No. Not one, but two voices. They were weak, soft, and trembling. The words were broken, but one line was clear enough to make his heart jump. We were bad. Mom left us. The man froze. His dog growled low, standing between him and the shadows. He lifted his flashlight and pointed it toward the sound. The beam cut through the darkness, showing broken branches, fallen leaves, and mist, but nothing else. The voice came again. A whisper, sad, lost, full of fear. We were bad. The man's heart pounded. He whispered to his dog, "Easy, boy. Stay close." The dog gave a small bark, as if agreeing. He moved forward carefully, step by step, the flashlight shaking slightly in his hand. Every sound in the forest felt louder now. The crunch of leaves under his boots, the creak of branches above, the distant hoot of an owl. Then he saw them. Two small shapes crouched, under a fallen tree huddled together. Their skin was pale blue, glowing faintly in the dark. Their large eyes reflected the light of the flashlight, wide with fear. They looked like children, but not human. Their heads were slightly longer, their fingers thin and delicate, their faces strange yet innocent. The dog barked, sharp and sudden. The twins flinched and pressed closer together, covering their faces with their hands. The man lowered his flashlight quickly. "It's okay," he said softly, trying to keep his voice calm. "I won't hurt you." The twins trembled, but did not run. They whispered again, their voices breaking like glass. "We were bad. Mom left us. Alone." The man felt something heavy in his chest. Children. Abandoned. In the cold forest. He did not understand why they looked so different, why their skin glowed faintly like moonlight, but he understood the pain in their voices. He knelt slowly on the ground, keeping some distance. His dog stood firm at his side, still growling softly but not attacking. The man reached into his pocket and pulled out a piece of bread from his bag. He placed it on the ground and pushed it gently toward them. One of the twins raised their head, eyes filled with tears. The other shook their head, whispering, "No, no, we bring trouble. We are not good." The man shook his head. "No child is bad," he said firmly, though his voice was still gentle. "You are scared. That's all." The twins looked at each other, then slowly reached out with thin fingers. They touched the bread as if expecting it to vanish. The dog wagged his tail once, lowering his growl. For the first time, the twins relaxed a little, but the peace did not last long. Far away in the forest, lights began to glow. Strange, sharp lights, not like fire or lanterns. They moved between the trees in a straight, careful line. The dog barked again, ears up, tail stiff. The man narrowed his eyes. He knew the forest well. Those were not hunters or travelers. The twins gasped when they saw the lights. They clung to each other, whispering fast and broken. They are coming for us." The man turned his head sharply. "Who is coming?" The twins shook their heads, too frightened to speak clearly. One of them whispered, barely loud enough to hear, "Hunters. They don't want us alive." The man's blood ran cold. He looked at the trembling children, then at the approaching lights. His instincts told him to walk away, to leave the strange beings behind. But his heart, heavy and human, refused. He stood quickly. "Come on," he said, holding out his hand. "If you stay here, you'll be caught. Come with me." The twins did not move. Their fear held them frozen like statues. The dog barked once more, sharp and urgent, then stepped closer to the children and wagged his tail. That small act seemed to break their fear. Slowly, hesitantly, they crawled out from under the fallen tree. The man saw them clearly now. They were thin, almost too weak to stand. Their clothes were torn, more like rags than real fabric. Their faces were marked with sadness, their glowing eyes filled with confusion. Yet when the dog licked one of their hands, a tiny smile touched their lips for the first time. The man nodded. "Good. Stay close, don't make a sound." He picked up the weaker twin in his arms while the other held his coat tightly. His dog walked in front, leading the way. The forest behind them glowed brighter as the strange lights drew nearer. Voices echoed in an alien tongue, sharp and commanding. The hunters were close. The man hurried, his breath loud in his chest, his boots sinking into the mud. The twins whispered again in his ear, their words filled with guilt and fear. "We were bad. Mom left us. We don't deserve help." But he only tightened his grip on them. "Hush now," he whispered. "You are safe with me." The dog growled low, warning him that the danger was closing in. The man did not stop. He pushed forward through the dark woods, carrying the children, carrying their pain, carrying their hope. And behind them, the forest whispered with the sound of alien, hunters coming closer, the twins' secret. The man pushed open the wooden door of his small cabin. The hinges creaked loudly in the silence of the night. His dog rushed in first, circling the room, nose twitching, making sure no stranger had followed them. Only when the dog stopped growling did the man step inside, carrying one twin while the other clung tightly to his coat. The cabin was not large. A table, 2 chairs, a shelf of old books, and a fireplace filled with dying embers. The man placed the weaker twin on a chair and quickly added wood to the fire. Sparks rose and warm light filled the room. The twins blinked in surprise, their glowing eyes reflecting the firelight. They sat close together, huddled, still trembling. Their alien faces were strange, but delicate, almost childlike. Their thin fingers gripped each other as if letting go would mean death. The dog walked over and sat in front of them. He tilted his head, studying them with sharp eyes. Then, in an act that surprised even the man, the dog licked the hand of the smaller twin. The child gasped, then gave a tiny laugh. The first sound of joy since the man had found them. The man pulled a blanket from the shelf and wrapped it around their shoulders. "You're safe here," he said in a calm voice. "No one can hurt you now." But the twins shook their heads at the same time. Their voices came in a broken whisper. "No, we bring trouble, the hunters, and they never stop." The man sat across from them, elbows on his knees, staring into their frightened faces. "Tell me," he said softly, "who are you? Why are they after you?" For a long moment, the twins were silent. They looked at each other, as if deciding whether to speak. Finally, the stronger twin took a deep breath and whispered, "We are children of the mother." "But she left us." The man frowned. "Left you? Why?" The twins' eyes filled with tears. "Because we were bad. Because we were weak. She said only strong children deserve life. She said we were mistakes." The words cut the man like a knife. His fists clenched. He had no children of his own, but he knew the cruelty of being abandoned. He had seen animals thrown away when they were sick, soldiers forgotten when they were wounded. But to leave children to die? His heart burned with anger. The smaller twin spoke next, voice so soft it was almost lost under the crackle of the fire. "She told us not to cry. But when we cried, she grew angry. She said we brought shame. One day she walked into the sky with her ship and never came back." Tears slid down the child's pale face. The other twin held them tightly, whispering words of comfort in their strange tongue. The man's dog whined and placed his head on the twins' laps. The children touched his fur gently, their thin fingers disappearing in the thick coat. For the first time, they felt warmth that was not cruel or cold. The man leaned back in his chair. "Listen," he said firmly. "You are not bad. You are not mistakes. Do you hear me? No child is born wrong. The mistake is your mother's, not yours." The twins looked at him with wide, glowing eyes. They seemed unable to believe his words. One whispered, "Then why do the hunters want us? Why do they say we must die?" The man's jaw tightened. "Because they are cowards. Because they fear what they don't understand. That is not your fault." Silence filled the cabin for a while. The only sounds were the fire crackling and the dog's steady breathing. The man could see that the twins were exhausted, their small bodies shaking with hunger and fear. He stood, went to the shelf, and brought back bread and a little dried meat. He placed it on the table. The twins hesitated, then began to eat slowly, carefully as if afraid someone would snatch the food away. Watching them, the man felt a deep sadness. They were not just hungry for food. They were hungry for kindness, for safety, for love. Then outside, the forest stirred. A faint humming noise came from the distance. The dog lifted his head, ears sharp, a low growl rising in his throat. The man walked to the window and looked out. Between the trees, faint blue lights moved again. The hunters. They had not given up. They were searching the woods step by step, their strange weapons glowing in the dark. The man closed the curtains quickly. He turned to the twins. "They're still looking for you. Why won't they stop? What do they want?" The stronger twin swallowed hard. Their voice trembled. "Because we are proof that the mother was wrong. She said her children were perfect, but we are not. If others see us, they will know the truth. That is why the hunters must erase us." The man stared at them. So this was not just cruelty. It was pride, power. A mother who would rather erase her own children than admit weakness. The hunters were not chasing them for sport. They were chasing them for silence. The dog barked once, sharp and urgent. The man knew what it meant. Time was running out. He knelt in front of the twins, looking them straight in the eyes. "Listen to me. You are not weak. You are not mistakes. You survived. That means you are strong, and I will not let anyone take you away." The twins trembled, but for the first time a spark of hope lit their eyes. "There," the smaller one whispered. "But why? Why help us? We are not even human." The man gave a small smile. "Because my dog chose you, and because my heart tells me you deserve to live." At that moment, the sound of branches snapping outside made everyone freeze. The hunters were close. The night was not over. The danger was only beginning. The hunters arrive. The cabin grew quiet, too quiet. The twins sat close to the fire, their thin bodies wrapped in the blanket, but their glowing eyes stayed fixed on the door. The dog paced back and forth, ears straight, growl deep in his throat. The man felt the air change when it was the kind of silence before a storm. Then came the sound. Snap. Crunch. Heavy footsteps, pressing against dry leaves outside. Slow. Careful. Many of them. The man's breath caught in his chest. He knew it was not animals. These steps were steady, organized, hunting. The dog barked once, sharp and loud, then stood at the door, tail stiff. The twins whispered together in fear. Their voices broke, but one word was clear. "Hunters." The man quickly put a finger to his lips. "Quiet," he whispered. He pulled his old rifle from the wall and checked the bullets. Only a few left, he cursed under his breath. Against hunters with strange weapons, this was like bringing a candle to fight a storm. The lights appeared first. Pale blue glows moving outside the window. Then shadows stretched across the cabin wall. Tall, armored figures stepped closer. Their helmets shone faintly, their weapons humming with energy. A voice echoed from outside, deep and cold. It spoke in the alien tongue, but the twins understood. Tears rolled down their faces as they translated in trembling whispers. "Bring out the failures. Give them to us, and we will not burn your house." The man clenched his jaw. He stepped in front of the twins, holding the rifle steady. "Over my dead body," he muttered. The dog barked again, standing tall beside him. The twins shook their heads, pulling at his coat. "No, don't fight for us. We are not worth it. They will kill you too." The man looked back at them, his face hard but his eyes soft. Children are always worth it, don't say that again. A loud bang shook the cabin door. Dust fell from the roof. The hunters were testing the strength of the wood. The man took a deep breath. His cabin had stood for years, but against alien weapons, it would not last long. "Listen," he said quickly. "There's a trap door under the floorboards. It leads to a small tunnel. Crawl through it and hide in the woods. Go now." But the twins refused. Their glowing eyes filled with tears. "We won't leave you. You helped us. You gave us food. You gave us warmth. We cannot leave you here alone." Another bang. The door cracked slightly, glowing blue sparks spreading across the wood. The hunters were using energy weapons now. The man raised his rifle. "Then stay behind me. Whatever happens, don't let them take you." The door burst open with a blinding flash. Smoke filled the room. Tall figures stepped inside, their armor shining, weapons humming like angry bees. The dog leaped forward, with a furious bark, teeth snapping. He bit one hunter's leg, forcing the figure to stumble. The man fired. The sound of the rifle thundered in the small cabin. One bullet struck a hunter's shoulder, making sparks fly. The creature roared in its alien tongue and fired back. A blue beam scorched the wall, leaving a hole where books once stood. The twins screamed. They huddled under the table, covering their ears. The man fired again, aiming for another helmet. This time the bullet cracked the visor, making the hunter fall back. But more of them poured through the doorway. Their glowing eyes and sharp weapons filled the cabin with deadly light. The dog darted between them, fast and fearless, biting and snapping. His growls filled the air. He was only one animal, but his courage was bigger than the cabin itself. The man shouted over the chaos, "Run when I tell you!" "Don't look back." One hunter aimed at the twins. The man saw it and fired without thinking. The bullet hit the alien's hand, knocking the weapon away. The hunter roared and swung its arm, sending the man crashing against the wall. Pain shot through his side, but he forced himself back up. The twins cried out, crawling toward him. "Stop, please stop, we will go with you, just don't hurt him." The hunters froze for a moment. Their leader stepped forward, voice like ice. "Yes, come now and he lives." The man coughed, blood at the corner of his mouth. He shook his head fiercely. "No, don't listen to them. You hear me? Don't give yourselves up." The twins sobbed, torn between fear and love. For the first time, they had someone who fought for them. Could they throw that away? The dog barked furiously, launching himself at the leader. His teeth sank deep into the alien's armor. The hunter swung hard, sending the dog flying across the room. He hit the ground with a painful yelp. "No!" The twins screamed together. Something strange happened. Their glowing eyes blazed brighter than ever before. Their voices rose, echoing, like thunder, filling the cabin with a force that shook the air. The hunters staggered back, covering their ears. The man, though weak, stared in shock. The children were not weak. They were not mistakes. They had power hidden deep inside them, a power born from pain and survival. The hunters shouted in panic. One of them fired wildly, but the twins raised their hands. A shield of light burst forth, blocking the beam. The energy shattered against the shield and vanished. The man's eyes widened. The twins were not helpless. They were more than their mother had ever believed. The hunters stepped back, fear in their movements now. The leader growled something sharp, and slowly they began to retreat, dragging their wounded with them. The cabin was a mess of smoke, broken wood, and glowing embers. But the hunters had not won. Not tonight. The twins collapsed in exhaustion, their glow fading. The man crawled to them, wrapping his arms around their small bodies. The dog limped over, pressing his warm head against their laps. "You see?" The man whispered, his voice rough but steady. "You are not weak. You are stronger than you know. And as long as I breathe, no one will take you." The twins looked at him with tears in their glowing eyes. For the first time they believed him, but outside in the shadows of the forest, the hunters were not gone for good. They were regrouping. The night was far from over. escaped to the cabin. The cabin smelled of smoke and fear. Broken wood lay across the floor, and the air still buzzed with the memory of alien weapons. The twins sat close together, their glowing eyes dim, their small bodies shaking with exhaustion. The dog, though hurt, pressed against them protectively, refusing to rest. The man leaned against the wall, breathing heavily. His rifle was nearly empty. He knew the truth. The hunters would not stop. They had pulled back only to plan another attack, and next time, they would not be careless. He stood slowly, wincing at the pain in his ribs. "We can't stay here," he said. "They'll return, stronger." The twins looked up at him, fear spreading in their faces. "Where will we go?" one whispered. The man glanced at the fire, then at the door. His voice was steady, but his heart was heavy. "There's an old path through the forest. If we move before dawn, we may stay ahead of them. My cabin is no fortress, but there's a place deeper in the woods, safer." The dog barked softly, as if agreeing. The twins clung to each other. "But we bring trouble. If you keep us, you will die." The man knelt in front of them, his rough hand resting gently on their shoulders. "Children don't bring trouble. Evil brings trouble, and evil is what hunts you. I will not leave you." The smaller twins' lips trembled. A tear rolled down their cheek. For the first time they whispered, not with fear, but with a tiny spark of hope. You sound like a father." The words struck the man's heart, like an arrow. His chest tightened. He said nothing, only pulled the blanket tighter around them. The forest outside whispered again. Strange clicks and hums carried on the wind. The hunters were moving, their voices sharp, their lights glowing faintly in the distance. The man blew out the fire, grabbed a small pack of food, and lifted the weaker twin into his arms. The other held tightly to his coat. His dog limped beside him, but his eyes burned with loyalty. They slipped out the back door into the cold night. The forest was a maze of shadows and silver moonlight. Every crack of a branch made the twins flinch. Every sound made the dog growl low. The man kept moving, his steps careful but fast. He knew the path well, but tonight even familiar ground felt dangerous. The hunters had machines, scanners, and eyes that glowed like predators in the dark. Suddenly, a beam of blue light swept across the trees behind them. Voices followed, deep, commanding, relentless. "They're close," the man whispered. "Stay low." The dog barked once, warning of movement ahead. The man crouched behind a fallen log, pulling the twins down with him. Through the trees he saw them. Hunters, tall and armored, moving in lines. Their weapons glowed and strange drones hovered above them, buzzing like insects. The hunters scanned, the ground, the air, even the shadows searching. The man held his breath. The twins pressed their faces into his coat, trembling. The dog stayed still, only his sharp eyes watching. The hunters passed by, their voices cold and metallic. For a moment it seemed they had escaped, but then one of the drones turned, its blue light sweeping directly over the fallen log. The twins gasped. The man acted fast. He stood, fired his rifle at the drone, and shattered it into sparks. The hunters roared in their alien tongue, turning instantly toward the noise. "Run!" the man shouted. They bolted through the forest, branches slapping against their faces. The dog ran ahead, barking furiously, guiding the way. Behind them, the hunters fired. Blue beams cut through the trees, leaving burning scars on the trunks. The man's heart pounded. His arms ached from carrying the child, but he did not slow. He had to reach the deeper woods, the place where old caves lay hidden. If they could hide there until sunrise, maybe the hunters would lose their trail. The twins cried softly as they ran. "We are slowing you, leave us behind." The man barked a laugh even in the chaos. "Leave you never, you're mine now, whether you like it or not." The dog suddenly stopped and barked at the ground ahead. The man looked and saw it. An opening half hidden by roots and rocks. A small cave, dark and deep. "This way," he shouted. They scrambled inside just as beams of light swept past the entrance. The dog pressed against the opening, growling. The man held his rifle ready, though his hands shook. The hunters' voices echoed outside. They scanned, searched, and cursed in their strange tongue. But for now, the cave kept them hidden. Inside, the twins clung to the man. Their tears wet his coat, but their voices carried something new. Not just fear, not just sadness, but trust. You did not leave us even when danger came. The man sighed, leaning back against the cold stone wall. I told you, no child deserves to be abandoned. Not in this world. Not in any world. The dog lay down beside them, tail wagging weakly, as if reminding them all that family was more than blood. The night dragged on. Outside, the hunters searched. Inside, hope flickered faintly in the darkness. The man tightened his arms around the twins and whispered, "Rest now. Tomorrow we keep moving. Tomorrow we fight again." And though fear still filled their hearts, the twins finally closed their eyes, safe in the arms of the only human who refused to let them go. But outside, the hunters whispered too, their voices, cold and cruel. They had not given up, they never would. Memories of the mother. The cave was dark, lit only by the faint glow of the twins' skin. The man sat near the entrance, rifle across his lap, eyes heavy but awake. His dog rested close, one ear always twitching at every sound outside. The twins lay together under the blanket, whispering softly. At first, the man thought they were speaking in their strange language, but soon their words became clear, broken but understandable. "Do you think she will find us?" one asked. The other shook their head. "No, she left us. She will never return." The man leaned forward, voice low. "Who are you talking about?" Silence. The twins looked at each other, then at him. Their eyes glowed brighter for a moment, filled with sadness. "Our mother," the stronger twin said. The man nodded slowly. He had heard them speak of her before, but never in detail. "Tell me," he urged. "What happened? Why would a mother leave her own children?" The smaller twin began to cry quietly, face hidden in the blanket. The stronger one wrapped an arm around them and whispered, "We will tell him. He saved us. He deserves to know." So they spoke. They told him of the great ship in the sky, shining like silver fire. Their mother was a queen, powerful and feared. She ruled over many. Her word was law. Her pride was endless. She called her children the future of the stars. But the twins were different. Their bodies were smaller, their powers weaker. When they tried to train, they stumbled. When they tried to fight, they failed. Their mother's eyes grew cold each time she looked at them. "She said we were mistakes," the stronger twin whispered. "She said we did not deserve her blood. She said we made her weak." The smaller twin's tears fell faster. "We tried to be good. We tried so hard. We thought if we were quiet, if we obeyed, she would love us. But love never came." The man's chest grew tight. His hands clenched, the rifle until his knuckles turned white. He could not understand such cruelty. A queen, a leader, a mother, and yet she abandoned her children because they were not perfect in her eyes. The twins continued, their voices trembling. "One day she told us to follow her to the Great Hall. She said she would test us. We thought maybe if we passed, she would smile at us for the first time. But it was not a test," the smaller twin whispered. "It was judgment." They described how their mother had called her guards. She declared that weak children were not worthy to live under her rule. She ordered them taken away. "We begged her," the stronger twin said, tears shining in their glowing eyes. "We said we would try harder. We said we would be strong one day, but she only turned away." The smaller twin's voice broke completely. "She left us in the forest. She told the hunters to finish what she could not do herself. And then she flew away in her ship. She never looked back." Silence filled the cave. Even the forest outside seemed to pause. The man could hear nothing but the quiet sobs of the children. His dog moved closer, resting his head on their laps, giving warmth that their mother never gave. The man's eyes burned with anger. "She is no mother. he said in a low voice. She is a coward. A true mother protects her children. She chose her pride over her own blood. That is no queen. That is no parent. The twins looked at him with wide, wet eyes. But she was strong. Everyone feared her. Strength without love is nothing, the man said firmly. It is emptiness. Do not believe her lies. You are not weak. You are survivors. You are still here. That makes you stronger than she ever was. The twins trembled, unsure whether to believe. Their whole lives they had been told they were worthless. To hear the opposite felt like a dream. The man reached out and gently touched their shoulders. I don't care what blood runs in your veins. To me, you are just children who need care, and I will give it, even if the whole universe stands against us. The twins pressed closer to him, their glowing eyes softening. For the first time, they felt the warmth of a father, though he was not of their kind. But the night was not done. A low hum vibrated through the cave walls. The dog lifted his head, growling. The man froze, listening. Outside, faint blue lights flickered again. The hunters were back. The twins gasped, fear returning to their faces. They will not stop, one whispered. They will hunt us forever. The man loaded his rifle, his voice steady. Then let them come. They will learn what it means to face a man protecting his family. The dog barked once, sharp and brave. The twins looked at him, their fear fighting against hope. Family? They whispered. The man gave a small, firm nod. Yes, family. And in that dark cave, for the first time since their mother abandoned them, the twins began to believe that maybe, just maybe, they were not mistakes. They were loved. The final stand. The cave walls trembled as heavy steps echoed outside. Blue light swept across the forest like the eye of a predator. The hunters were close, too close. The man gripped his rifle tightly, his knuckles white, his heart steady. His dog stood beside him, growling low, ready for whatever came. The twins clung to his coat. Their glowing eyes were wide with terror. They found us, one whispered. They will not stop this time. The man looked down at them. His face was hard, but his voice was calm. Then we make our stand here. The dog barked sharply, as if agreeing. The hunters' voices echoed outside, sharp and cold. They spoke in their alien tongue, but the meaning was clear when one twin, translated in a trembling whisper, "Bring them out. This is your last chance. Refuse, and you all die." The man stood tall, even in the shadows of the cave. His reply was short, strong, and full of fire. "Over my dead body." The hunters answered with action. A blast of energy shook the cave entrance, sending rocks crashing down. Dust filled the air. The dog barked furiously, jumping forward. The twins screamed, holding their ears. The man fired his rifle. The sound thundered in the cave, echoing like a drumbeat of defiance. One hunter staggered back, hit in the chest. But more filled the entrance, their glowing weapons aimed straight at him. The battle began. The dog leapt, biting and clawing, his courage larger than his body. He darted between the hunters, forcing them to stumble. The man fired again and again, each bullet pushing the invaders back. Sparks flew, smoke filled the air, and the ground shook with the force of their weapons. The twins huddled together, tears streaming down their faces. "Stop! Please stop!" they cried. "They only want us. Let them take us. Save yourself." The man spun toward them, eyes blazing. "No! You are mine now. You hear me? Mine. And I will fight until my last breath to keep you safe." The twins trembled. No one had ever spoken such words to them before. No one had ever chosen them over their own life. The hunters pressed forward. Their leader, taller and more armored than the rest, stepped into the cave. His voice roared like thunder. "You protect failures. You waste your life on weak blood. Stand aside, human, or be destroyed." The man raised his rifle and spat blood from his mouth. "Better to die with them than to live like you." The leader growled, lifting his glowing weapon. Then something changed. The twins cried out together, their voices rising high. trembling with fear and love. Their glowing eyes blazed brighter than ever before, flooding the cave with light. The hunters froze, shielding their helmets from the brilliance. The man turned, stunned. The twins stood hand in hand, their small bodies shaking but their faces fierce. "You will not take him," they whispered, their voices echoing like thunder. "You will not take our family." A wave of light burst from them like a shield. Fire. It spread across the cave, slamming into the hunters. Weapons sparked and failed, armor cracked. The leader staggered back, roaring in rage. The man watched in awe. The children who once believed they were weak now stood tall, their power undeniable. They were not mistakes. They were miracles. The hunters fought back, firing beams of blue, energy. But the twins raised their hands and the beams shattered against their shield. The cave shook, rocks tumbled, but the light held strong. The dog, limping but unbroken, barked furiously at the enemy, his voice echoing with the power of loyalty. The man lifted his rifle again. With the twins' shield protecting him, he fired at the leader. The bullet cracked through the alien's helmet, sending him crashing to the ground. The remaining hunters hesitated. For the first time, fear spread among them. They had come to erase failures, but instead they faced strength greater than their own. The twins' voices rose again, fierce and unbroken. "Leave us. Leave this world, or we will show you what weak children can become." The hunters looked at each other. Then slowly they began to retreat, dragging their wounded and broken leader with them. Their lights faded into the forest, their voices distant and bitter. Silence filled the cave once more. The air was heavy with smoke and dust, but the battle was over. The twins collapsed to the ground, drained, their glow dimming. The man rushed to them, dropping his rifle. He pulled them close, his rough hands trembling with relief. "You did it," he whispered. "You showed them who you are." The twins looked up at him, weak but smiling. "We are not bad. We are not mistakes. We are yours." The dog pressed against them, tail wagging slowly. His fur was dirty, his body bruised, but his spirit was unbroken. The man held the twins, tighter, his eyes burning with pride. "Yes," he said firmly, "you are mine, and as long as I breathe, no one will ever hurt you again." Outside, the forest grew quiet. The hunters had left for now, but the man knew they would not give up forever. The queen, the mother, still ruled somewhere among the stars. Yet as he looked at the twins wrapped in his arms, he felt no fear. They had found their strength. They had found their hope. And together, man, dog, and alien children, they had become a family. But the dawn had not yet come, and the final chapter of their story was still waiting. A new family. The first light of dawn crept into the forest. Pale gold touched the leaves, washing away the long shadows of night. Birds sang softly, unaware of the battle that had shaken the woods only hours ago. Inside the cave, the man sat with his back against the stone wall. His rifle lay across his knees, though for once the forest was quiet. His dog slept at his feet, tail twitching in dreams. The twins lay curled under the blanket beside him. Their faint glow had dimmed after their power burst, but their breathing was steady. For the first time since he had found them, they slept without trembling. The man let out a long, heavy sigh. His body ached. His ribs burned from the blow he had taken. But when he looked at the children, something stronger than pain filled him. A warmth. A strange, powerful peace. The smaller twins stirred, opening glowing eyes. They blinked at the morning, light, confused. Then they looked up at the man and whispered, "We are still here." The man gave a tired smile. "Yes, you're still here. And you're safe." The other twin woke as well, stretching weakly. Their first words were soft, but full of wonder. "They did not take us." The dog lifted his head, ears perked, and wagged his tail as if to say, "Of course not. We protected you." The man reached out, brushing the twins' hair gently with his rough hands. "You were braver than anyone I've ever seen. Last night you stood against them. You saved us all." The twins shook their heads. "No, We were only strong because you stood with us. Without you, we would have given up. Their words struck deep into the man's chest. He swallowed hard, hiding the tears threatening his eyes. You don't understand. I thought I was protecting you, but you gave me something too. You reminded me what it means to fight for something pure, something good. The twins stared at him, their glowing eyes shining with something new. Not fear, not sadness, but hope. The smaller one whispered, "Does this mean we are not bad? Not mistakes?" The man shook his head firmly. "No, you are not bad. You are not mistakes, you are children. My children now, if you'll let me." The words hung in the air like sunlight breaking through clouds. The twins gasped softly, their eyes filling with tears. They crawled into his arms, holding him tightly, their thin fingers clutching his coat. The man wrapped them close, his heart beating heavy and strong. His dog climbed onto his lap as well, pressing against the twins, completing the circle. For a moment, there were no hunters, no fear, no queen in the sky. Only a man, his dog, and two children who had finally found where they belonged. Outside, the forest whispered with life. Deer stepped softly through the underbrush. The wind carried the scent of pine and earth. The world felt new again. The man knew the truth. The hunters might return. The queen might send more. This was not the end of danger, but it was the beginning of something greater. He spoke quietly, as if making a promise to the morning itself. We'll build a home, deeper in the woods, a place no one can find. I'll teach you how to live here, how to be strong, not because someone demands it, but because life is worth living. You'll grow, you'll laugh, you'll learn what love feels like. The twins listened, tears sliding down their faces, but their smiles were brighter than any sunrise. We have a father now? One whispered. Yes, the man said, his voice steady. A father and a friend. He nodded at the dog, who barked once in agreement. The twins laughed softly, their glowing eyes reflecting the dawn. For the first time, they did not whisper about being bad. They did not speak of their mother. Instead, they whispered of tomorrow. We will stay with you, they said together. We will be your family. The man kissed the tops of their strange, glowing heads. His chest ached, but not from wounds, from a love he had thought he would never feel. The dog rested his head on the twins' laps, tail thumping softly. He too seemed to know that something had changed forever. As the sun climbed higher, the man stood, lifting his rifle. He looked out into the forest, his jaw set. Let them come again if they dare. They will find more than just a man in the woods. They will find a family that will never break. The twins stood beside him, holding his hands. Their glow grew stronger in the light, no longer dimmed by fear. The dog barked into the morning, loud and proud, as if declaring to the world that they belonged here, that this family was real, and together, they stepped out of the cave, into a new day, into a new life. A life where weakness was not shame. A life where hope was stronger than fear. A life where two abandoned alien children, a loyal dog and a weary man, had become something greater than blood or birth. A family born from love. The hunters might return. The queen might one day seek her mistakes. But the man knew one truth. Love would always stand stronger than cruelty. Humanity's gift was not weapons, not power, but the simple, unshakable choice to care. And because of that, two children who once whispered, "We were bad," would never whisper those words again. They would whisper new ones. "We are loved."